them, but as far as possible, whenever you can avoid them and limit your sugar intake instead of just adding more sugar. Go for more natural sugar, like the fruits, sugar and fruits, like as you did the passion fruit juice. You just squeezed in and you did not add any sugar to it. So that's a good thing. So the same way, like when there is a natural sugar source, do not try to add more sugar to that. And do you consume dairy?
I don't drink milk,
Okay.
but I'll have like cheese in my sandwich or something. But
Mhm.
in terms of dairy, I don't consume much dairy.
Okay. So
Like I don't eat yogurt.
Okay.
I don't drink milk, but obviously if I eat cheese or something, then that's fine. But I don't really like actually drink it or eat yogurt.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or I don't
That
even
is-
eat cheese like every day either.
Okay.
So.
So I mean, dairy is a good source of calcium, but if you don't consume dairy, you can make sure that you're getting calcium from other sources like calcium fortified juices, cereal, bread, rice milk, almond milk. You need calcium for bone strength. So if you don't eat dairy, just make sure that you are using an alternative to that. So, and looking at the sheet here, do you see any dairy sources that look like you can eat, you can add?
Actually I have almond milk sometimes with my coffee.
Okay.
If I do decide to put milk in my coffee, then I'll always have almond milk. So I do have almond milk in the fridge all the time, in case I do use it in my coffee.
Okay. So you use that as that can be your calcium source. So try to incorporate that as your dairy source. If it is possible for you, trying to make an effort to include that in your regular diet could help you have the required amount of calcium. In a similar way, when we are looking at the grains, do you see any whole grain sources that you would like to eat? Like the sources, the whole grain sources can be like, the whole wheat bread, the barn, or
So when I do decide to eat bread, I try to get like whole grain bread or like wheat bread, but I eat a lot of like white rice. So that's the offsetting part of that. But I also don't eat bread that much. If I do, it's only like a sandwich for work. But for the most part, I don't eat bread like that.
Okay.
But I do choose like a healthier alternative than like white bread.
Right, you're trying to make trying to choose a healthy alternative for
Yeah, except for rice. I only eat white rice. So I try to do brown rice, but it's just not the same.
you did not like the taste
I
of
mean,
it.
it's fine. It's just not the same for me. So, because I never grew up eating brown rice. So, and then I've tried like quinoa as well, which I also really like. But in terms of like the food that I make, like if I make the chicken or beef, to me it just tastes better with white rice. So, but that's like the one thing that I need to like sometimes like stray away from, because in like Asian cuisine we eat a lot of white rice. So in terms of that, like that's what I need to get better at.
I totally get that. Me being an Asian too,
Yeah.
so I know how we like the taste of the white rice.
Yeah.
So it's not that like I understand that the white rice is like it's so important to you and it's like a staple food if I'm getting it right, and that is one thing that you cannot change. So that's totally fine. I mean, it's not that one particular thing you'll have to change it to make it a whole grain meal all the way. There are many other areas where you can choose to have a whole grain food, and when you're having rice, that's completely okay. As it's been mentioned in the beginning, it's at least if you can try to incorporate like 50% of your the two groups, the whole grain, two subgroups as whole grains, or 50% of your grain half of it. If that can be whole grains, that is totally fine. It doesn't have to be whole grain all the way through. So is there something that you see that you can incorporate as a whole grain, except for the rice? Many other things like you're gonna like cracked wheat or bran or
I would say like wheat,
multigrain.
100% wheat, multigrain, yeah.
You do use multigrain products.
Yeah, I try to.
Okay. And in the same way, when so for the protein intake, as it's been mentioned, there are many animal and non-animal sources of protein, and it also was reflecting in your 24-hour dietary call that you've been having both animal and non-animal protein. So looking at the sheet here, which are the protein sources that you can have more often, or you've been using, you're comfortable using it more often?
I'm pretty comfortable with a lot of protein, like eggs, pork, chicken, shrimp, tofu. I eat all of that. So in a day, I probably eat more protein than anything else.
Okay, so you have been mindfully incorporating protein in your diet through. That's wonderful. So, and I remember you also mentioning that you try to incorporate more veggies even when you're not at home, to have a healthy meal. So, vegetables and fruits, especially the fruits, as I mentioned before, is also a natural source, has a natural sugar in it. So that way it's really good. So do you also buy fruit juices from outside?
No, actually sometimes I like juice at home. So I'll do like spinach, apple, and like cucumbers or something at home. Because I just got a juicer, so I've been using it a lot. But other than that, like before that, I wasn't eating that much fruit. I love to eat fruit, but I think just buying fruit and like them like rotting so quickly is like what like put me away from buying it. But I always bought like bananas and apples. But now that I have a juicer, I've been like juicing my fruits and my veggies together. And I don't eat a lot of like dark greens, so I've been buying more darker greens to put in my juices, like spinach and kale. So lately I've been pretty good at it. At fruits and vegetables.
Okay.
But in terms of like I'll have like last week I had like a cup of green juice every morning. But other than that, like it's hard for me to eat vegetables if they're not already in something. Or if I do eat a salad, it has to be just like lettuce, like romaine lettuce. But I don't really eat kale and spinach and stuff like that. So putting it in a juice has been a lot better for me to eat.
Okay, so your way of incorporating fruits and vegetables is making the juice, and you're trying to incorporate that in your meals. So, and you also mentioned that the fruits, the fresh fruits would rot in, and so now you have a juicer and you have got fresh fruits and making juice out of it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, when you're making it, like try not to have added sugar to it, try go with the natural sugar that's already present in fruits and veggies.
Right.
In that way you're not having any extra sugar, adding extra sugar into your diet. And the next one to know is about the oils. And here it's like oils are not a food group, but they do provide essential nutrients to you. It is needed by your body. It's not like you completely have to avoid oils, but at the same time you have to use it very mindfully, because it needs, you don't need too much of oil. Sometimes it goes too much into a diet, into a meal, because it makes the food tastier. But it's better to use it sparingly. So, which oils do you
I usually use olive oil or vegetable oil, but mainly olive oil.
Okay. So it's that's a good thing, like you use olive oil or the vegetable oil, and So, are you aware of the LDL cholesterol, the bad and the good cholesterol? Do you have an
We
idea about
touched
it?
upon it in class, but I'm not too sure.
Okay. So, I mean, I'm going to give you just a small brief idea about it now. Going deep into it, it's a totally different big topic. But it's like a good cholesterol is the one which helps in your body. It's called the HDL, and the LDL is called as the bad cholesterol. Um, Solid fats are fats that are solid at room temperature, like butter and shortening. Solid fats like mainly come from animal foods, and they also contain saturated fats and trans fats. So, are you aware of these terms as well?
Yeah.
Okay. And saturated fats and trans fats, these tend to rise the bad cholesterol in your body. And but the bad cholesterol is the one which is more harmful, is that is more than you are at more risk for the heart disease and heart conditions, or more of risk of obesity. And plant-based oils, and including coconut oil, palm oil, or these are the one which also can be considered as solid fats. So while consuming some oils, it's needed for health, oils still contain calories, so using it sparingly will really help. And so when you look at these, and if you remember your 24-hour dietary call, do you remember using any of these oil in?
I'm sure that crepe that was being made was used with like vegetable oil.
Okay.
Because it's made in the pan. In terms of the soup, I don't think so. I think like frying the shrimp and the pork also in that crepe was also made with oil. But that's about it.
And with all these information, and if you look at your 24-hour dietary call, do you remember any of those whole grains that's being used, and whole for the noodles, or?
No, I don't think the noodles were whole grain. Yeah, I don't think anything we put out that day.
And now to go over with some of the foods that you can limit using are the alcohol. And alcoholic beverages are sources of calories but provide few nutrients and is a top calorie contributor in diets. If alcohol is consumed, it should be in moderation, up to 1 drink per day for women and up to 2 drinks per man. And then high sugar foods, when sugars are added to foods and beverages to sweeten them, they add calories, so limiting them, and the soda and the sugary drinks, limiting on those things as well. And high saturated fats, you can limit high saturated fats by choosing low fat diet, like cheese, low fat cheese, and low fat milk or reduced fat milk. And also switching to oil rather than solid fats will decrease the fat intake. And the other few tips, if it's okay, if I can give it to you, it's like you eat every 4 hours. And this means eating breakfast also. Never skip your breakfast. Eating at least every 4 hours will keep your energy level up and help you prevent from eating oversized portions. And avoid oversized portions. Use your hunger and fullness cue. Just watch the cues that you get and even when you're eating, try to eat a little mindfully so that you know when you're actually full. And meals with at least 3 food groups. You can try to include at least 3 food groups. So are you aware of the food groups? The food groups are the ones that we actually mentioned, like fruits and vegetables and the grains and the protein source. So in a meal, try to include at least 3 food groups. This way you're getting many nutrients. So you're getting almost all the essential nutrients there. And stick to water instead of having more sweetened juice or soda. Just sticking to water, and then limiting solid fats, added sugars, and limiting the sodium intake to really help. So there are some other resources that can also help you with knowing more about balanced balanced diet. And if you're unsure of how to buy, cook, or store any of the foods we talked about today, you can check out the eatfresh.org, and the website has a lot of options, and it also has a My Plate guidelines. I do have a scale though.
Oh, you do? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
You can also check, register for nutrition class here at the wellness center, and you can go to health.sfsu.edu, log into My Health, and make the initial nutrition appointment and fill out a nutrition questionnaire for Sridevi, and use that help. It's a help on campus, and you can definitely make use of it. Once you, I know it's a lot of information to process at once. It's so after getting to know, after me giving you all this information, what do you think? Like, how ready are you to make a change to have a balanced diet? Like a scale of 0 to 10, where 0 being that you are not ready at all, and 10 being you're totally ready for it.
I'd say 8. I think like after going through that, what I need are like whole grains, or try to incorporate a little more whole grains, maybe cut a little back on any other grains, and then maybe have like a little more intake on dairy.
So you want to add a little more of whole grains and increase a little bit more of dairy intake. I would also want to ask you on the same scale of 0 to 10, how important is this to you, to make this change?
In terms of dairy, probably not so much, because I've never really had too much dairy to begin with. And so actually, like maybe like once or twice a week with dairy, but I've never been really concerned about dairy. But maybe whole grains a little more.
Okay. So you would say with the dairy you're not so sure about it, but
Mhm.
with the whole grains you would definitely want to add more. So
Mhm.
on a scale of 0 to 10, how important is that with the same scale?
I'd probably say 6. And dairy is probably like 4.
So is it time?
5 minutes.
Okay. So keeping all these things in mind, let's try to set a smart goal for like. So the smart goal would be like trying to make it like more specific, and then it's more measurable, and it's time adaptive, and so I would like to ask you, what goal do you want to set for yourself?
I guess to eat more whole grains.
Okay. So when you say like you want to eat more of whole grains, how do you actually want to incorporate that? Like trying to be more specific, what kind of whole grains do you want to add?
Well, I don't know what kind of whole grains I want to add because I don't really eat whole grains. So,
Okay.
and that could be through anything like breakfast, lunch, dinner.
Okay. Let's try to be more specific. Where exactly do you want to incorporate that? For your breakfast, for your lunch, or for your dinner?
I mean, I don't really have anything specific. I guess for lunch.
Okay. So do you have how you can incorporate that in your mind? How exactly you can do that?
I mean, I guess just when I go grocery shopping, choosing whole grain options.
Okay. So you would go grocery shopping and choose the whole grain. Like-
Or like meal prep and think about what I want to eat beforehand. And so when I do go grocery shopping, I know what I should get rather than just like picking whole grains and not knowing what to make it with, or
Mhm.
like what kind of food I want to eat it with and then not eating it at all.
Okay. So you want to be prepared ahead of time so that you know what exactly to prepare. Okay. So what exactly to cook. Okay. So if you want to restate your goal, including these specific things, how would you restate the whole goal?
I guess eating more whole grains by choosing wisely, being more prepared about what I'm going to eat, so I know for a fact that I'm going to use whatever option of whole grain that I choose.
Okay. So, I mean, that's again all in one place. So if we are stating a goal, being more specific, what I have in here is like eating whole grains for lunch, and like how often do you want to do it?
Well, maybe I'd start slow, and I'd see like incorporating it like 2 to 3 times a week for lunch and seeing how I like it, and then adjust from there.
So you would eat, correct me if I'm wrong in stating the goal for you. So it's eating more whole grains for lunch 2 to 3 times a week. And you said you would try to do that by choosing more whole grains when you go grocery shopping, and then meal prep, and pick up, have an idea of what you can cook and pick up accordingly. Okay. So when you see that you want to achieve this goal, how confident are you in achieving this goal?
I'd say I'm like
On a scale of 0 to 10 again.
6, like we stated earlier.
Okay. So, why is it a 6? Why is it not a 4 or
Well,
a
I mean,
7?
I don't really know much about whole grains.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what can I eat with whole grains, really? So I think that's like more research on my part. Like bran and like 100% wheat, like I don't know what exactly I could buy with that.
Okay.
So maybe just like more research, because I'm not too sure of it. And what I can make with those ingredients when I do buy whole grains.
So you were not yet aware of, what are the products that you have with those whole grains available, and you also want to explore more of recipes that you can actually cook.
Yeah.
Okay. So what can we do to bring this number up to 8 or 9 with these?
So like what I was saying earlier, like if you have any suggestions for whole grain, if you have any like how I can incorporate that into my meal. Because all I know is that 100% like wheat or bran, but like what is it that I could buy with 100% wheat or bran, et cetera, et cetera.
Right. So, and actually here you have a lot of, this is a handout that you will have with, many options of whole grains. It has few of the names as well here, which you can look into and see if you have some recipes and some of those options when you go there. It has list of few whole grains, and you can use this handout. This handout will be given to you. And you also said you would want to explore on what recipes to cook. So, do you have any ideas in mind how you're
Okay, well, now that you showed me this, I guess like switching out that brown rice with switching out my white rice with brown rice, and like instead of buying like any random pasta, just make sure it's like whole grain pasta. Like eat oatmeal more, like rolled oats.
So when we see that with all these barriers to overcome, that now you have these options of, now these are few of the options, and you mentioned you want to switch from white rice to brown rice and try that, and whole grain pasta, and then having oats and like that. And you also said you would explore more on what you want to cook. So with these barriers that's been overcome, looking at that, how confident would you be in achieving your goal? Like,
I mean, I still think it's a 6 because I'd have to like really sit down at home and think about what I really want to do, like how I'm going to incorporate that into my meal plan. Sometimes I do meal prep, so I can't tell you like right now I'm going to change everything.
All right.
So it's still like a 6 for me.
Okay, it's still a 6. So, with that being said, and with the SMART goal that you have been set as, you would try to incorporate whole grains for lunch for 2 to 3 times a week. So, anything else that you would that would help you now with this?
I think just like being mindful of like what I am choosing when I go grocery shopping, making sure the labels, instead of like the white bread, like I said earlier, just like make sure it's like whole grain bread.
Right. Okay. So it was nice talking to you, and
Yeah.
thanks again for helping me out and.